So we're going to see the types of stone, the surface treatment cycles, the pre-installation sealing, the post-installation cleaning, protection, and maintenance. Okay, so let's go with the first one, which is basically, as probably most of you know, there are two different main stone groups. We have the acid-resistant and the acid-sensitive. When we say acid-resistant, we talk about non-calcium-based stones, meaning those stones, they do not contain calcium, or the calcite, which is one of the two main minerals present on Earth, whereas the acid-sensitive, they do contain calcite, and they are basically acid sensitive, so calcareous. So on the first group, we see the sandstones, slates, granites, basalt is also another example, or quartzites. On the acid sensitive, meaning the stones that contain calcium, marble, travertine, limestones, onyx is another example, for instance. So these stones are very, very sensitive. Now, when we talk about the quality of an installation, of a floor covering or paving, this depends on three main factors. Say, the first one is the quality of the material. The second is the quality of the installation. And the third one is where we come ourselves, is the quality of the treatment. All these three, material, installation, and treatment, have to be done properly. Now, when we talk about treatment cycles, we talk about four very specific phases of the treatment. Okay, if when we talk about porcelains or ceramic tiles, we can skip the very first one, because basically there's no much to do as far as the pre-installation sealing. On natural stones, the first one is very important. So the first one is the pre-installation sealing, the use of a back sealer or the grout release before or just after the installation. Then we have a post-installation cleaning. We have to use the right products according to the different types of stones. And the protection, we're going to use a penetrating natural look, enhancers, wet look, or matte finish. And then the right maintenance, the proper cleaner, low residue cleaner, neutral cleaner to use on a daily basis for maintenance. I think I'll leave the word to Elisa now,
Yes.
Elisa, to discuss about the first pre-installation sealing.
Yes, nice to meet you. I'm Elisa. I'm part of the technical department here in Fila in Italy. And today, as Marco told you, we are going to see which are the main steps to maintain at the best the natural stone surfaces. As Marco told you, the pre-installation sealing is one of the most important steps that you have to take in mind when you are working with natural stones. Why? Because if you do not think about the pre-grouting, the pre-installation treatment, you could have some problems relating to the maintenance of the floor. I want to show you some examples of the problems that you could have if the floor is not pre-grout, is not pre-sealed before the installation. Here you can see different kind of natural stones. All of them are installed outside. In this case, we were working with a limestone and with a sandstone. What happened to those stones? They absorb increments from the back. So not from the top, like rain, like oil, something like this, but from something that is located on the back of the slabs in this case. Unfortunately, when something like this happens, it is not possible to return to the original state, because the halos that you can see is not only superficial, but it is present inside the thickness of the stones. So how can I prevent those problems to happen? In Fila, we have the solution, and in this case, we suggest to use PW10. PW10 is a water-based sealer, so it does not have solvent inside, and it is a really special sealer because it has to be applied on the back and on the edge of the slabs before the installation, so before putting the stones on the floors or on the walls. It is a really special product because it stops the raising up of inquinants from the back, as you can see with the picture, and in the same times, it permits the penetration of the water. This is really, really important because the stone has to breathe. This is one of the main important things that a stone has to do. Another really fantastic aspect of this product is that it does not change the coefficient of the adhesion of the glue. So if you use the right glue and if you want to use the sealer, you do not have the problems to have the possibility to remove the tiles from the floor or from the wall. It is a certificated product and it is really powerful in order to avoid problems. But let me show you how does this sealer work. We have a little video. We were working with a limestone, so really absorbent material. We apply PW10 with a brush on the back, on the edge, and in this case, even on the top of the limestone. After 24 hours, we put the samples, treated and untreated, on a sawdust basin. And after 24 hours, you can see some brown stains appear on the surface. The stone that was treated with PW10 remained with its color. The stone that was not treated turned completely brown and dark.
Sorry, it's okay. Are there questions?
Unfortunately, the stains that you saw in the video were not possible. We were not able to remove them. So when you have those stains, you cannot come back to the initial point. So it is really, really important to prevent the stains from happening. How? Applying PW10. This is something that can be considered, especially in case of important projects or when you are using really light natural stones, really absorbent, or even when you're using granite, because sometimes they tend to create rust inside the surface. As Marco told you, we have two different kinds of pre-installation sealers. One was the PW10. The other one is the grout release, and the name of this sealer is MP90 Eco Plus. We will see in the short time that MP90 Eco Plus is really great as a grout release sealer, but it has even a really nice anti-stain effect. So if you want to apply a sealer on a stone that has already been installed, but where the joints were not done already, you can use MP90 Eco Plus. What it is really special about this product is that you can use this one on every kind of surface, so polish, unpolish, matte, so everywhere. So with a simple sealer, you can protect the surface against reducing the problems relating to the grout haze and the grout residues. Okay, Marco.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. So let's now go into the second phase, which is basically the post-installation cleaning. As Elisa was explaining, if you seal the stone with a pre-sealer, you won't have a lot of difficulty in removing the debris and removing all the dirt from the construction. You might have this problem if you don't follow the first phase, meaning the pre-sealer, the back sealer, or the grout release, especially on absorbent stones. Let's see what the post-installation cleaning does, the functions. So it removes grout and adhesive residue, along with various kinds of inorganic dirt. It might be some inorganic dirt during construction. It's the more present than organic because it's a new floor. Removes construction debris and obviously prepares the material for the sealing. Now, on the next slide, if you can, Grace, this slide shows the pH scale of our three main cleaners. We have more cleaners than these three, but here you see in the middle we have our neutral cleaner for natural stones. It's called Stone Clean, and then we have an acidic cleaner called Dieter and an alkaline cleaner called PS87. Now, all these three cleaners, they can be used on natural stones, but we'll see that we have to pick one depending on the chemical composition and on the finish of the natural stone. For your knowledge, the neutral cleaners are considered like more of a light duty type of cleaner, so mainly for maintenance and for very sensitive polished finish natural stones. The acidic cleaners, they remove inorganic type of stains. Inorganic type of stains are basically stains related to construction. So the color here is basically whitish or grayish, anything that is basically related to construction, brown haze, obviously, lime scales, and so forth. Now, the alkaline cleaners on the pH 12 point something, those are more degreasing type of cleaners, meaning they take care of removing colored organic type of stains, meaning floors that are already in use and have been installed for a couple of years or more, and they need to be deep cleaned. Now, the following slide, I was saying that all three cleaners can be used on natural stones, but we need to pick obviously one depending on the chemical composition. What happens if we use an acid cleaner on an acid sensitive stone? I think we have a video here that will show what happens if we use, for instance, that's Dieterdeck or acid on a piece of granite, and the same Dieterdeck on a limestone. As you see the chemical reaction, the white chemical reaction on the limestone, that's the signal, the indication that you don't want to use, obviously, the Dieterdeck on limestones. And I think we mentioned earlier limestones, marble, travertines, anything that contains calcium. But the granites are usually acid resistant, so even if we use pure acid, we're not gonna etch the finish of the material. So this is another example of a polished travertine that has the finish taken off by the acidic cleaning. So let's define which one goes for which natural stone. If you can go on the next slide, Grace, and here we can see whatever we saw on the pH scale. So in the middle, the neutral, and then the acidic and the alkaline. So let's start with the neutral cleaner. This one is the most delicate, so this one has to be used on acid-sensitive stones with a polished finish. Typical example, polished marble or polished travertines. Those are calcium-based stones containing calcite, the mineral that is very sensitive to acids, so it has to go neutral. Now, the alkaline cleaner on the right, it can be used on acid-sensitive stone, but with an unpolished finish. So typical example, an unpolished or matte finish marble or a matte finish travertine. So there we can use a cleaner that is slightly more aggressive than the neutral. On the pH, PS is 12 point something. So a little bit more aggressive, as long as the finish is not polished. And you can actually use the acid cleaners, but again, on acid-resistant stones. We've seen in the video the granite. You can use it on basalts, you can use it on sandstones, and you can use it on the slates, for instance, and anything that contain, the other mineral present on Earth, which is the quartz. So the quartz-based stones, you can clean them with the acid. We usually recommend though testing, because even though we say that granites are very resistant, there are some. It's very rare, but there are some polished granites, Chinese origin, for instance, black color and all that may react, or even some slates, for instance. So it's always a good thing to test and to put a drop like we did on the video and see if there's a reaction. Perfect. So let's.
So there's not one cleaner that can be used for all?
Yes, if you want to use one cleaner for all, and the safest is the neutral one, which is this one here. But
Okay.
again, you might have certain situations like, for instance, slates, with oxidizations or, like a fluorescences, where this could be probably too soft or not too strong to remove those stains. So in that case, slate is actually acid resistant, so you can go ahead and use Dieter.
But like a marble and a granite, the neutral
Absolutely. This
stone
one
would
here.
be the one? Yeah,
Will
okay.
will be this one. And this one here, even though the label says we normally say a 1 to 30 dilution in water. So, but even if you use a pure 1 to 5, 1 to 2, any dilution you want, this is a neutral cleaner. It's not going to harm, the finish of any, delicate, sensitive stone. Okay. We're going to see a video here, and correct me if I'm wrong, Elisa. This is a polished marble,
Yes,
right?
correct.
The initial cleaning, the post-installation cleaning on polished marble. So, and as you see there, the all the debris, all the residues from the installations, and then the dilution. Normally we say on the label 1 to 30, but it depends also on the amount of dirt present. It could be a 1 to 10, reduced to 1 to 10, or it could be a little bit more. Normally, installations, they do present debris, so it's normally less than more. So, but again, if you use 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, there's no problem. Pads are also very important. You saw the picture there, the scrubbing with the pads. Okay, so and as you know, pads go by colors, and as you see there are different colors. Reds, the greens, the browns, and many others. But the two or the three, I would say, most common pads are the black, the green, and the white. The softest one is the white one, and it's the one that we suggest for polished, sensitive stones. So if you have a polished marble, for instance, or polished travertines, go with the white, softest, white pad, and with the stone clean. Now, the second pad, the pad you want to use is the green when you deal with matte finish in natural stones. So the green is a medium abrasion, so it can be used on matte finish and in matte or textured finish. I would probably skip the black. The black is actually too harsh for natural stones. And when you alternate between the white and the green, you're fine. Now, examples on what we saw as far as the initial cleaning or the post-installation cleaning. Here, this is a tumbled marble. So it's a marble. It's a sensitive stone, but it's tumbled. So here, according to the pattern that we saw before, we can go alkaline. So the PS87, which is a little bit stronger than the neutral cleaner, can be used here. Okay, the second example is a granite, a polished granite, and again, I would say 98% of granites, polished or unpolished, are acid resistant. So here we actually used the Dieter, which is our acidic cleaner, and then you see the rust stain that you see on the one of the slab, one of the tiles there is removed with no harm to the finish of the material. And finally, went back to the question of that we had before. This is basically an initial or post-installation cleaning on a highly polished marble floor. And as you see there, the use is a neutral cleaner, the stone clean, which is basically pH 7, and machine, and basically scrubbing and rinsing. So this is the only option for this type of natural stone. So polished marble only requires neutral cleaner. Okay, so protection now, after we've seen the two phases, pre-sealing and post-installation cleaning, we need to protect the stone. Okay, and here, of course, on the protection, we have different types of protection depending on the look also you want to achieve. Chris, if you want to go to a following slide, the why is sealing first of all important? Obviously, to close the porosity of natural stone. Now, when we say close or seal the porosity of natural stone, this is a very nice example that the laboratory in Italy did on how our sealers, work. So it's not like sealing and not letting the stone breathe completely. As you see, the red dots on the right, this is our sealer. That basically what it does, it clings to the surface of the pore, but basically never seals it completely. But at the same time, it doesn't allow the particle, the dirt or the stain particle, to drop into the pore. So this is very important because basically it allows the vapor transmission. Elisa will follow later to explain to you about this. But it allows the stone, the breathability of the stone. So it's not a complete sealing, but it basically leaves the stone to breathe. So let's see also the characteristics or what the sealer does. The basic protection, basically, it could be water and stain resistance. So it could be water repellent only, or water and oil or stain resistance. They provide UV resistance. They basically provide they ease the maintenance on the floor, because by having by putting a sealer on the floor, it's actually much easier than to maintain it. You can choose between a natural look, meaning invisible. Natural means of penetrating inside the porosity of the stone without changing the look, or you can actually, color enhance the stone with two types, with a wet finish and with a matte finish. And also important, sealing does not change the slip resistance of the surface. This is a quite common question that we have. This is basically a penetrating sealer that goes inside the stone, so it does not affect the coefficient of friction of the same stone. And obviously, it can be applied in multiple coats, depending on the porosity. Now, choosing the right protection, something over the past few years very important, is basically the difference between water-based and solvent-based. The trend and the research is going towards the water-based for environmental reasons, but you can also see the difference there. The water-based contribute towards LEED credits, as a very low VOC emissions. So when, for instance, there's a residual moisture on natural stone, you can actually speed up the treatment process, meaning you can clean early in the morning. You can actually complete the treatment in the afternoon with 2 coats of water-based sealer. They are normally odorless, so there's no odor as far as those solvents sealers, and obviously quick drying and faster setup. On the solvent-based, they're more, how do you say, old school or traditional type of sealer. They're still requested, still demanded by especially installers and professionals. They're probably more adequate for more compact and absorbent stones. They tend to have a slightly higher penetration, and of course they have a beading effect, meaning this exposure to water more than the water-based, but it doesn't mean that they seal better than the water-based. Both are nice options as far as sealing. It's just a different behavior of the two types of sealers. And normally we suggest solvent-based still for outside commercial applications. I think Elisa, I'll go back to you. Yeah.
Yes, as Marco told you, we have different kind of sealer. What is important is that the water-based sealers like PW10 that we saw before, the MP9 Eco Plus and the Weight Eco, as the Indoor Comfort Gold certification. That means that in case of green projects, you can request the certification in order to be LEED compliance and in order to be sure that the sealers that are going to be used are VOC free. So it's something that is really important for us, but even for architects or big project, or even for the tile installer, that the tile installer that is going to apply the product. But how does the MP90 Eco Plus work? MP90 Eco Plus is our, we can say, the only sealer that you need, because this product can be applied on every kind of surface, polish and non-polish. In this case, since we are working on a small surface, we are applying it with a brush. Otherwise, you can even use a lens wool applicator or a roller. What it is important is to apply the sealer evenly on the surface, make sure to cover completely the material. And it is even really important to apply the sealer since the surface is fully saturated with the product. Based on the kind of material where you are working on, you will need more or less product, because in case of unpolished surface, the covering of the product will be higher, will be slower, and in case of surfaces, the covering will be higher. The glossy effect that you can see on the surface is what we call the product, and what after 15 minutes we are going to call the residues. What it is important, this fact, is that the sealer has to be removed after 15 minutes if something remains on the surface. Why? Otherwise, the surface may be result sticky or uneven. In this case, to remove the residues, you can use a cloth or a lens wool pad or a sponge, especially if you are working on a big floor. The removal of the residues, if you respect the 10-15 minutes, is really easy. You have just to remove with a cloth. You have to dry, let me say this, the surface in order to be sure that the residues are completely removed. After 24 hours, you can perform a drop test in order to verify the performances of the sealer. And as you can see in this video, the product produces a really beautiful drop effect on the material. But this is not just the only thing that is really nice about this product. You have to figure that sometimes when you stain the surface, you do not notice that the stain remains on the floor or the oil or the coffee. The sealer can protect the material for a very long time. In this case, you can see what happened after 4 hours of contact with the surface. After 4 hours, when we remove the stains, you can see that the surface that has been treated with MP90 Eco Plus is perfect. So the part that was untreated remains stained. What Marco told you before is that the sealer does not close the porosity of the stones. The sealer is born to let the surface breathe. And here we have a lab test when we put some water over a cement that has been treated with the sealer. We can push some air from the back of the cement, and the bubbles that you can see are the bubbles that confirm that the product is completely breathable. It does not change the breathability of the surface. This is something really nice to see, but it is really effective when we talk about how the sealer works. Before, I even told you that the sealer can be applied with different brushes, with different tools. In this case, you can use a brush if you're working on a small area, or eventually you can use a roller, lens wool applicator, or if you're applying the water repellent sealer, you can even use an airless system. That is really helpful, especially if you're working on a big facade or on a big floor. So those are really important to see. And here you can see the different effect, the different level of protection that the MP90 Eco Plus can have on different materials. Because as we told you before, the sealer can be applied on different materials like polished limestone, or on terracotta, on sandstone, on polished marble. And on all those materials, the MP90 Eco Plus is performing really, really well. It does not the surface get stained, so you can remove the stains really easy. And this is something really powerful, not only for maybe an internal table, an internal kitchen top, but even for floors inside a building or inside a commercial area. In the next video, we are going to see a beautiful experiment that we perform in the lab. We work with a limestone and we treat one with MP90 plus, and the other one was left untreated. We took the samples, we took the coffee, American coffee, and we cover completely the samples with coffee. We want to test the performances of the sealer on this kind of material. As you can see, after a short time, the untreated sample turned completely brown. The treated instead remained white. This is the effect and the performance of the MP90 plus. And the next one is a test that we performed some days ago. In this case, we work on a cement, and as you can see, this beautiful drop effect is one of the sign of the performance of the sealer. Note that we obtain this beautiful drop effect with a water-based sealer. So this is something that you expect to see with a solvent-based product. We obtain it with water-based sealer. That is really incredible. Okay, until now, we always speak about the natural effect sealer, but as Marco told you before, it is possible to obtain a wet look, or it is even possible to just increase the color of the surface without changing the finishing. We have, in fact, different water-repelling sealer that can be applied and can be chosen based on the fact that you want to obtain on the flora. With this short video, I want to show you which effect you can obtain changing the products that you're going to use. Here we are applying the MP90 plus, so the water-based sealer with natural effect. You cannot see any differences from the untreated spot. Here instead we apply the wet eco, that is a wet effect sealer, and here the surface is really shiny, really color enhancing. It is a really beautiful color enhancing effect. And in the last spot, we are applying the Stone Plus Eco, so the sealer that increases the color of the stone without changing finishing. So you can obtain a matte enhancing look. So you can have waterproofing sealer, water and stain sealer that can change the finishing and the look of the stones based on the materials and on the look that you want to obtain. So you have just to choose. In our product range, you can find both waterproofing and stain-proofing sealers. But when do I have to use a waterproofing sealer and when do I have to use a stain-proofing sealer? Usually, the stain repellent sealer has to be used inside because it's the place where most of the stains occur, and usually even outdoor, especially in the car parking areas near barbecues, or if you have a really beautiful tree that lost a lot of flower, that in that case it is better to apply a stain repellent sealer in order to avoid stains or problems relating to the maintenance. Otherwise, if you want to protect an external wall or an external area where the main problem is the water, then in that case, you can apply a water repellent sealer. In this way, you can prevent the fluorescence, you can prevent the growth of green and black mold, and you can reduce the aging of the surface. Here we have some pictures where you can see an untreated natural stone that is covered with these black mold and green mold stains, and the same material that has been treated with hydrorep, our water repellent sealer that does not change, it does not form mold and so on. And this is the picture of a real case in Spain where you can see the treated and the untreated surface. The untreated is completely black and it is really unsafe for the people that are going to live inside. The protect instead is really beautiful and well maintaining. Yes.
Once it's black like that, can you restore it back to its natural self?
Yes, you can use eventually an alkaline cleaner like the PS87 in order to get rid of the black mold that you can see on the surface. or eventually you can use products that contain bleach. But first of all, it is really important to clean with PACT7, just in case you use something like bleach or active chlorine. But yes, you can restore. Once you have restored the surface, what it is important is to apply a protection in order to avoid to let the surface come back to the original state.
Okay, thank you.
And here you can see the effect of an external facade that has been treated, and here the surface has not been treated. So it's really effective.
Marco.
Yeah, thanks, Elisa. Very, very informative. Now, just the last slide on the protection. The common question we have is, what if my stone is pre-sealed? What if my stone has been pre-sealed in the factory? So we do the drop test. You see if it is sealed or unsealed. But even if the stone comes pre-sealed, our suggestion would be after installation, just in case, apply an additional coat of sealer, because again, the sealer that they put in the factory is a very fast process. It's not like after installation. So just in case, even it's on the sealed stone, after installation, we suggest an additional coating. Now, the fourth phase is the maintenance phase, which is basically not less important. It's very important, actually, because it is worthless if you want to do a pre-sealing, to do the proper cleaning and everything, if you don't carry out then the very simple maintenance that we're going to see. Maintenance is basically the procedures required to ensure that a surface retains the appearance and properties as long as possible. And this entails the use of the cleaner. If you want to change slide, Grace, which is a very low residue neutral cleaner, that we're going to see them now in the next slides. We have a couple of cleaners. One is for floors, the stone clean that we already talked about, and the other one is a spray cleaner ready to use. So one is called Refresh and Reseal, the spray 24 ounces, and the stone clean is the concentrated to be diluted. So this is basically the two cleaners that you're going to look at when maintaining countertops or natural stone floors. Now, let's see an example of countertops where you can use the spray cleaner. Now, we also call this cleaner sealer because it contains also a very minimum amount of sealer. So every time you clean, you also add a little bit of sealer. It's more practical, obviously, for countertops, even if you can use it everywhere, but that's ready to use. Now here, you see some cleaner residue, left by some cleaners or detergents that, are not really low residue. So you basically have to go back and rinse with those cleaners. So our recommendation is to use a low residue, and stone clean is actually the type of cleaner you want to use. Now, the heavy-duty cleaning, the special maintenance, this is basically when you deal with an old installation or an installation that has certain stains, and you want to remove those stains. Okay, so let's see the examples and what we have available for you. The etchings, and we didn't mention, when we talked about polished marbles, especially polished marbles, when we say, put a sealer and you're fine against everything, this is not true, obviously. You're fine against the most common stains, but when you talk about acidic stains, you have to be very careful, because, they may, like vinegar or different types of acidic substances, they can actually etch the marble. The good thing is that we have a little kit, it's called Marble Restorer Kit, that is able to restore, recuperate, the etchings if something happens on a polished marble. If you see on the next slide, all this countertop is basically a mess with all different types of etchings, and due to probably vinegar or different substances, Coke, different types of lemon juice, and the recuperation done with the kit. The kit obviously contains 3 different pads, so it has a mechanical part, which is the first part, the second, and the third pads. So you basically want to grind the surface by hand, and you can do it on a marble, because marble is very soft. And then we have 2 chemicals inside. One is contains a little bit of oxalic acid, and the other one is basically a final cream. But as you see, you basically recuperate the any acid etchings that may happen on a polished marble. Now, apart from the etchings, we have also different types of spot removers. This is a very nice spot removers for oil and grease. So it's very specific, oil and grease on natural stones, any type of natural stones. Whenever, and again, when you're dealing especially on unsealed, not sealed natural stones, you might have some oil stains penetrated. So this is basically what we also call an instant type of poultice. So it acts in 15 minutes. You spray, and basically after you leave it there 15 minutes, there's a video there. It turns into a powder, and then basically you see the stain gone. What it does is basically you see the spraying of the product, and normally again a few minutes, 10 to 15, turns into a powder, and the powder extracts the oil stain. In certain cases, obviously, when the stain is very penetrated and very stubborn, you might have to reapply it a second time. But there's it's a very practical spot remover. Now, this one here is also something interesting, and this is basically for colored, we say stain or organic stains on natural stones. If you have like a matte finish limestone or matte finish travertine, and you have a red wine stain, like in this case, it's basically sort of a gel. You want to cover, the stain and leave it there again to 10-15 minutes. What it does, it dissolves the pigments of the stain. So the stain is still there if you want, but it vanishes. You don't see it anymore. So that's the way it works. So good thing, again, it's a 10-15 minutes process. So no poultice, 24 hours, and then covering, nothing. It's basically an instant type of poultice. Perfect. I think we got to the end. If any questions, please.
Yeah,
What
Marco, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Marco, I have a few questions.
Yes.
Okay, one is regarding outside exterior pool coping, stone pool coping, and the interior of the pool in stone. What is that you recommend in that case? Because of course we have a water base and also different type of water in the components in the pool.
Well, I mean, and correct me also, Elisa, if I'm wrong. Normally for outside pool, we suggest the Hydro Wrap. You can go with the MP90 Eco Plus, like Elisa was saying before. That's a go-to sealer that can go everywhere. But again, outside, since you don't have, and I know you guys are probably in California, so you want to, be careful about the VOC limits and all that. But again, the Hydro Wrap can be sold in the 1 liter containers, even in California. Okay,
so also projects in Hawaii where we have a stone, and then of course, because the gardener cleans the lawn, and of course drops of products that go into the water, and then they of course attack the acidity, they attack the stone. There can be an issue, right?
But you mean the dropping of the sealer, the Hydro Wrap?
Well, no. During everyday life of a house that has a stone pool coping, travertine or limestone, and also we have the entire pool wrapped veneer in stone. and then you have salt water based, or you have the same pH for the indoor swimming pool. And on top of that, you have everyday gardeners. They use their product to clean the lawn or clean the surfaces. A stone can be etched because of these products. What are the recommendations at the beginning when the guys install the material? What is the Fila product to use, and also for maintenance on such applications?
Elisa, do you want to respond?
Yes, this is something that is quite common because a lot of time natural stones are going to be used near a swimming pool or even inside a swimming pool. What it is important in that case is to proceed with a pre-sealing with the PW10. So for the installation of the stone, you have to apply PW10 on the 6 sides of the stones. Then you can install the material, you can clean the travertine, the marble, the sandstone with the correct fillers, and then you can apply hydrorep, so the solvent-based solution, or eventually, if you want, even with fog, which is a water and oil repellent sealer, water-based. So those are the main indications. Solvent-based for those. Sorry, fog is a water and oil repellent sealer, solvent-based, and so those are the main indications for the treatment of the swimming pool. So the pre-installation treatment with PW10, a correct cleaning, and then the application of the sealer. What it is important is to reapply the sealer with a certain constance in order to be sure that the level of protection is always at its best. In this way, you will limit the etching of the surface and you will preserve the natural stones for a longer period.
Okay. So eventually we will have some summary of what you described at the end of this presentation, so all of us can have it in front, maybe an email or a summary that you'll send to everybody. The second, 2 more questions that I'm sure everybody has. Number 1 is this anti-etch product. Here in California, there is a product called More that is like a plastic film that you apply with a roller and UV light. Personally, not good, not nice to, but clients are afraid. Oh, I don't wanna deal with etch stains on the darker stone or lighter stone. This product is available. Does Fila recommend and provide something similar? Number 1. Number 2, how often do you have to, on countertops with expensive marble, how often do you have to reapply the sealer? Because you show the test, the drop test with the Eco MP90, the drops, the stays, but on an everyday life, when somebody uses the countertop, I don't think, is it long lasting, or after a week you don't see these anymore? If I would have to do the drop test, I don't see anymore these clean drops on the stone.
Alessio, let me respond to the first one. As far as the first one, we know more. The problem with with that type of treatment is it's very expensive, and it actually creates it alters the natural finish of the marble. It does work, so it does repel the etchings and everything, but it does really alter change the natural beauty of the marble.
No,
Okay.
it does.
Sorry,
Now,
Joyce, can you mute? Okay, good. Joyce muted herself because it was too noisy. Go ahead, Marco. Sorry.
Yeah, so it does work like I was saying, but it does change the natural beauty of the marble. Regarding your second question, I would say if you use, I don't know if you saw the spray detergent that we have there, the refresh and reseal. That basically is our maintenance, spray maintenance for countertops. That adds, every time you clean the countertops, it adds also a little bit of sealing. So you prolong, if you want, the life of the sealer. But eventually, I would say every couple of years to make sure, reapply, MP90 Eco Plus or whatever sealer you decided to put on, there. So That's if you do that type of maintenance. If you don't do that type of maintenance with a refresh and reseal, then I would say every year, you should probably apply the sealant. Now, Lisa, if you want to respond probably more technically on that etch repair, I know we have something that we do as an inline type of. We
Yes.
offer. Yeah.
Yes. In our we have different kind of product range based on the situation, based on the moment of the life of the natural stones. With the tech department, that is the Fila department that is in charge of the relationship with the producer, we create a sealer that can be applied on the slabs during the production of the marble, that can reduce the formation of etching on the surface. But it is something that has to be decided before the installation of the kitchen tops. It is not something that can be done in the construction site or in the house of the ladies or of the men. So yes, we have a possible solution, but it is something that has to be discussed with the marble producer and the manufacturer. So we have something, but it's something that is to be thinking about before the installation.
Marco, and we have questions here in the chat.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll read them out to you. It says, this is a question from Aaron. Hi, Aaron. Speaking of exterior pool applications, what Fila product is recommended to remove calcium from pool waterline tiles?
This is tiles or natural stone?
It says tile here. Aaron?
Well, if it is porcelain, it's a stone, right, Aaron? So is it, Eric, is it limestone? What type of stone is it? I don't know if she.
Travertine line.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on the finish, if it's a matte finish, I would say they can go alkaline. If it's polished finish, the only option is actually to go stone clean, neutral, and white scrubbing pad. Okay, I wouldn't use any acidic, any Dieterdeck, because Dieterdeck may, etch and react with the travertines.
Okay. I can see a raised hand here. Before I go to Joyce, I have a question in the chat. It says, I have a question about sealing bathtubs fabricated with mocha cream limestone. So I guess that would be how to seal bathtubs fabricated with mocha cream limestone. From Michael.
Hi, this is Michael. I'm the one who asked that question. I have a project right now that has the designers calling for mocha cream limestone. And I'd like to hear your thoughts on sealing it. I'm getting two different opinions from two different fabricators due to its absorption rate. So I'm curious, one, can it be sealed? Two, does it change the color? And then how often would I have to maintain it? And this would be in a somewhat humid environment.
So Michael, where is it going to be installed?
Where's the stone going to be?
Yeah.
It's a bathtub
Right.
a bathtub in a master bathroom, upstate New York.
Okay, what I would do, since you have moisture, I think you mentioned you have moisture, it's a constant moisture, I would go water-based, and the best thing would be probably the MP90 Eco Plus, the one that Elisa was explaining, the Eco Plus, MP90 Eco Plus, penetrating, natural look. So I wouldn't put any enhancer, any wet finish or matte finish, just natural look. And again, water-based.
Yeah, but do you have any experience specifically with mocha creme limestone? Have you worked with that material at all and had any success with it?
Mocha crema, Elisa, do we have anything done?
Yes,
I think we did, right?
Yes, we have. Is the stone from Salvatore?
No, it's a Portuguese. Is mocha crema is a very common Portuguese limestone. Very
We
common
have
Portuguese line.
the colleagues in Spain. Okay, yes, we have the colleague in Spain that used to suggest the PW10 and then the MPITICO Plus on the top of them. Eventually, if you want, I can ask to my colleague to send you the method statement that we usually produce for the mocha cream, so you can have the information.
Yeah,
So
that would,
Michael and I work together. So maybe you'll, Marco, you'll email me and
Yeah.
I'll share it to my team very well. Because also I
Yes.
sent you a couple of tests about these products that you see in Italy. I find in Italy, I don't know if are the same in the States.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
so what she was saying, Michael, it's the back sealing first, the PW10 she was explaining earlier, and then the sealer. Okay,
But
but
this
we'll
is-
send you. We'll
this
send you
is a-
the. Sorry.
this is a freestanding bathtub. It's not up against
Okay.
a wall, so
Okay, got
we can't do a back seal on it.
Okay, so
Unless it's-
just the sealing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll send you a spec sheet on the mocha cream. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much.
We had
Okay.
Joyce that had a raised hand.
Yes. You have the heavy duty cleaning for removing acid stains on polished marble. Do you have anything to do the acid staining for the home marble?
Elisa.
And also, I want to interject, the more product is not a plastic coating. It's a solution they put on, and it does not change the color. We have had people do it. We don't do it, but my customers have used the product, and it's amazing. It does not change at all the product.
They might have changed it recently. I mean, what the feedback we had was, the thickness of this basically protection.
But it's not. It's not a film. It's not like the tough skin. It's
Right,
not
right.
a film. It's
But-
a solution, and I have seen it, and it doesn't change it, and it is an amazing product. Hopefully, Fila comes out with something that's similar to that, because the only drawback on that product is that it's expensive. Otherwise, it's perfect.
Okay.
Regarding the honed surfaces, so if the etching is on colored marble, so if you have a white stain on a brown or a black or a red marble, then in that case you can try to cover a little bit the differences using the Stone Plus. So increasing the color of the marble, you can cover a little bit the white halos that is present on the surface. Note that the Stone Plus will not change the finishing of the material, so it will not restore the honed effect, but it will make the surface, the etching less evident than it was before. So it could be a solution.
I'm sorry, on the heavy duty cleaning?
No, in that case, you should.
It's mostly, I'm sorry, I'm talking about really just the white marbles.
Okay, in that case, the point is that the marble restorer used to increase the glossy effect on the kitchen top marble. So if used on the honed marble, you could increase a little bit much the finishing. You can try, because sometimes it's something that the people like, but in that case, it is a little bit hard to be completely sure. You should evaluate based on the pictures, based on the situation, if the marble restorer could be used or not. If it is honed and quite glossy, yes, in that case, the marble restorer could be a solution. If it is honed but more matte than the situation, then in that case, the marble restorer could increase too much the final gloss.
Okay, thank you.
We have a question from Dave. He wants to know if he can have the video presentation emailed. So yes, we will send you the recording of the presentation and the deck. Any other questions?
Thank you very much. from
Thank
Dave.
you. Thanks, Dave.
Sorry, if it could be sent also to us, if that's okay.
Yes, we'll send it out to everyone.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right,
Now
thank
the people in Aruba, eh? Joking.
Hi. Yes.
Just joking.
Especially the people in Aruba.
Especially the people in Aruba. Okay,
Okay. I think that's it.
perfect. Gentlemen, if there are no
Okay.
more questions, Carl, what's going on? That's not a question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day, everyone.
Guys,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Have a good
Thank you,
day.
Jeff Owen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks,
Have a good
bye.
evening. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.